if you're giving money to an individual content creator, you're expecting them to have done all of that themselves. So you have to ask yourself, is the person that I'm hiring going to direct themselves in the best possible way? Are they going to, create the hooks and the storyboards and the outlines and the scripts? Are they going to edit the content as well as, or to a certain degree of talent that, an editor might do the same thing? And, I think in the beginning of the UGC wave, it was, the level of quality or effort that we asked of creators was a lot lower because we wanted things that looked really almost like bad, amateur. And now that there are so many creator tools, I mean, I've been using CapCut a lot on my phone. It's really easy. It's great, very powerful. Now that there's so many creator tools, I think we can expect a lot more of creators. And actually, as users of these social apps, as audience members ourselves, I think we are expecting a lot more. And so it just places more of a burden on the people creating the actual content, which is why I think the pendulum is swinging back and your approach is actually super effective. Like if I was running, if I was given $5,000 and I needed to get, X amount of content to launch a brand or run an evergreen campaign for a brand, I would lean way more into your approach rather than just trying to diversify and spread out amongst a bunch of UGC creators and let them run wild.
If I could just jump in real quick about that, think about the incentives of these creators. Their incentive is, how can we get this done as fast as possible? Because let's say they didn't charge you that much. They don't want to reshoot. They don't want to do any of that stuff because that eats into what their margin is, right? And that's also predicated on that they can script, that they understand marketing, that they understand all those things. There are some really amazing creators, so I'm not going to say all of those people aren't, but I will say that there's a vast majority of people who have just gotten into it recently and don't really understand how these things really connect between the actual ads that they create and the ad account and the business function and things like that. And so what might happen is actually you as a brand or you as an agency owner actually are the ones spending the time, writing the briefs and doing all that. So think about this, what's your hourly rate? What's your marketing manager's hourly rate? Yeah. And then multiply that by the 20 hours, 30 hours that they're going to have to go and wrangle some creators, get the creators, brief the creators, correct the creators, all that different stuff. It's that ends up being a really expensive process. So you think, we're only going to spend a little bit of money on content, but you end up spending a lot of time on content creation or corralling content. And it ends up being very expensive. And think about what you could do with 20, 30 hours, your marketing manager could do that could really go 10x that time for them. And I think a lot of people aren't thinking that. They just see content as very much a line item, but there's a lot of hidden costs that go into it that people are missing. And there's not enough creators out there right now that have enough education to take over the briefing and all that stuff for the marketing manager. Some of them can, but not all of them. Most of them cannot. And so that's a cost that's not being talked enough about. And I think it's hurting brands holistically.
For sure. There are a lot of great creators. You just have to mine for them, to your point. And I'm so glad you brought up the hourly rate thing. I just want to say this because this is something that we talk about internally on our team is, if let's say you got, I'll just keep it simple, 5 assets from a UGC creator and they're just selfies on an iPhone in their kitchen, not many transitions, just maybe 20 seconds, 30 seconds per clip. And you paid that person, $500 to $1,000, maybe more. If you kind of just reverse engineer it, it's okay, maybe this took them 2, maybe 3 hours to do. And I actually think that's pretty generous. If it takes them longer than that, then that's a little, that just speaks to their kind of lack of efficiency. That means that they're getting paid hundreds of dollars per hour. So what is their hourly rate? So I think just looking at it in terms of that it's very interesting. And you can quickly start to see oh, wow, maybe this isn't as worth it. So I think the point there being of all this is there are really great creators. UGC is definitely not dead. It's just about finding that cohort of folks that are very high quality and very aligned with your brand. And then, making sure you're being efficient with your capital.